This is Dan Young, and thank you so much for attending today's event. Hey, I wanted to give a special shout out to Cameron Stansberry at America's Preferred Home Warranty for sponsoring this event today. Without him, we'd have to charge for this event, and we're very grateful for that. I just read an article in the Inman Press about how many agencies and agents are getting sued from the homes over the past few years in this uber hot market that were done without inspections and also without home warranties. Because, if you have a home warranty, I'm a big fan of them because Murphy's Law says something's going to happen in the first year of home ownership, right? If you've got that home warranty, the furnace breaks, whatever that is, that's taken care of, and they're not coming back to call on come back on your seller, or come back on you, or come back in your agency. So, but a home warranty company is only as good as its vendors. And in the case of America's Preferred, you can actually pick your own vendor, which is pretty cool. I found my clients absolutely love that. With that, I thank you for sponsoring this. And now I want to introduce a very, very good friend of mine. I've known Brian Moses for over 20 years now. Brian and I've become really good friends. He coached me through growing a mega team back in the early 2000s. And then I had bought a couple of franchises, and my needs kind of changed. I didn't have as much time to work on my real estate business. And he coached me through how to leverage my business with people, marketing, and technology. And through doing that, I've been able to make consistently six figures working less than 5 hours a week in my business. So I am proof positive that his methods, they work. But I just want to introduce Brian is formerly the number 2 agent in the world for Coldwell Banker twice. Top 10 worldwide, 7 consecutive years, selling over 400 homes, earning over $3 million in commission annually. Not bad. Brian was Craig Proctor's right-hand man. In fact, that's where I met him, helped him build a successful coaching business from 1996 to 2009. Then he worked with Anthony Robbins and Chet Holmes as the Senior Executive Vice President of Business Consulting. He helped companies from all industries grow their revenues and their profits. Brian then worked with Jay Kinder and Michael Reese at the National Association of Expert Advisors, the NAEA, creating systems and processes, and was head of the coaching division. Today, Brian coaches and trains some of North America's best agents on business development and strategies to help them accelerate their growth in scale so that they can have a better quality of life. Now, Brian, I know you're not much for bragging on yourself, but I'll throw one more thing out there. Most recently, he was named Success Magazine's one of the 125 most influential persons in the entire real estate industry. So if you would, please help me welcome Mr. Brian Moses. Brian?
Holidays or the new doing pie giveaways, and you would think that we do that because we want to, not because we expect something in return. So it's really ironic when you have 50 people come and pick up a pie, and then 3 months later you see one of the people that you gave a pie to list their home with somebody else. It's kind of frustrating. So there's some methodologies that work and some that don't. We'll talk about those today. But after doing this for 30 years, I can tell you some things don't work at all. Some things work a little bit, and some things work way better than others. I talked about success. I'm going to introduce you to 2 worlds. There's the world on the left and the world on the right, and they're very different. And it's your choice. The world on the left, if you're taking notes, I'd like you to write down, is the created world. That's the world where you pursue, chase, and accomplish and achieve your hopes, goals, and dreams. That's the created world. The world on the right is the world that most people live in, unfortunately, and that's the reported world. Oh my God, the market's crashing. Inventory is down. Sales are down. Interest rates are up. Those are all true, by the way. No differently than this is true. Is the glass half empty or is the glass half full? I've learned and developed the muscle of resourcefulness, and I believe that anything's possible. I grew up from an immigrant mother from Germany who came to the United States. My biological father abandoned us. We lived on welfare growing up. We lived in the projects. I remember standing in line as a young child with my mother, waiting for government issued cheese that came in a brown cardboard box. And I managed to turn out okay. So I'll tell you, you have a past, you have a present, and you have a future. And I'm the type of guy that it doesn't matter where you came from. It doesn't matter where you currently are. It only matters where you're going. So I want you to make a decision today, because decisions change your life. Decisions change history. Rosa Parks, I'm not sitting in the back of the bus. Decisions change your future. No more, enough. Never again. I quit. I do. I will. I won't. All of those decisions change your life. I think a lot of times we get stuck wondering how we're going to do it. I'm going to tell you that decisions come first, the how comes second. So I want you to dream big, because the world is limitless, full of possibilities. We know that there are agents that are like Dan, making 6 figures a year on a part-time basis, and just being an order taker, being able to use my marketing to get people to call Dan to list their home, and he goes out and takes the listing. It's pretty cool. And then we have people in our industries that we know, and I coach many of them, who do 50, 75, 100 deals a year. They have teams that do 200, 300, 400, 1,000 transactions annually. So the sky's the limit. You can have as much as you want if you're willing to pay the price, and there is a price. So as we get started here, I'm going to share an insight with you that changed the trajectory of my life. These 2 words, these 2 values or virtues are essential to your success. I think everybody would agree. We need skills and we need to be motivated. But I'd like to ask you, which is more important? Drop in the chat, which is more important? If you had to give the edge, one over the other, which is more important? What do you need more? Do you need skill or do you need motivation? What's the secret sauce to success? These are 2 critical elements. Let me just take a look at the chat here. Noah says motivation. Robin says motivation. Okay. Peter Davies, motivation. Keep going. Keep going. Who else do we got? Motivation. Motivation. Okay. So whenever I do this webinar, this event, I'm speaking in Las Vegas this weekend for HomeSmart and Remax. I speak for all brands, all companies. I don't discriminate. The grass is green where you water it, I like to say. But generally, I get overwhelming response that motivation is more important. Well, let me ask you, let's pretend for a minute that we had 7 minutes and 55 seconds to deactivate this bomb. Wherever you're sitting right now, wherever you're watching this webinar, we have 8 minutes. We can't exit the building. We're barricaded shut. There's people, loved ones here near us. And if we don't deactivate this bomb, we're dead. So I ask you, Noah, I ask you, Peter, I ask you all, do you pull the red wire? Do you pull the blue wire? Do you pull the green wire, the yellow wire? Which wire do you pull? Are you all motivated to pull the wire and deactivate the bomb? In this instance, how many of you would say skill is probably better than motivation? Well, we could apply that to anything. If your car broke down, you're motivated to fix it, but you call a tow truck. You want to fly a plane? If I gave you a plane, you'd be like, wow, that's pretty cool. But without skills, motivation is no good. As I said, they're both important, but you can test this across anything. And when I realized that I was wrong, that I was motivated for 5 years, and that's why I was broke. The reason I was broke, the reason I struggled, the reason I wasn't accomplishing things that I wanted to accomplish was because I lacked the skill. I lacked lead generation skills. I lacked lead conversion skills. How many of you can screw up a perfectly good lead if I paid you $1,000 to get them to hang up on you? Well, do you know the opposite is also true? We can get that lead to want to meet with us if we have the skills. See, a lot of us think our subconscious says, well, that's not been my experience. I got to play the chase and nurture game, right? I gotta win them over on my personality. Well, personality is not a skill. So we're going to talk about skill, and specifically today in the time that we have together, we're going to talk about lead generation as a skill. Because a lot of people are generating leads and the leads aren't buying and the leads aren't selling. So there's a problem. So you're not generating quality motivated buyers and sellers. And I'm going to show you how to do that today. I'm going to give you a little taste. And then we need to learn the skills. There's 3 skills that you really need to learn. And you need to become a master at. My son, as Dan said, he came down a couple of times this year to watch my son play football. He's a quarterback at Vanderbilt, one of the backup quarterbacks. Vanderbilt's in the SEC, the Southeast Conference. They play Alabama. They play Georgia. I saw somebody from Northern Kentucky. I hope you're not a Kentucky fan because we beat Kentucky this year. But you don't get to play college football at any level, let alone in the SEC, without skills. There's a lot of motivated kids who want to play football, but without the skills, forget it. So there are 3 very important skills that if you want to excel at real estate, whatever that means for you, whatever success is for you, you want to make $100,000 a year, you need skills. You want to make 200, 300, 500,000 a year, you need skills. Doesn't mean you need to work harder. So lead generation, can we all agree that that's a skill? Quality lead generation. Getting people to choose you over their hairdresser who has a real estate license. That's a skill. Lead conversion, getting the appointment and qualifying the appointment. So that's the second skill, getting the appointment and qualifying the appointment. And a lot of you don't even realize you're making some catastrophic mistakes in step 2. Step 3, acquiring the client, signing the listing agreement. That's a skill, getting the listing signed so that the seller doesn't say, will you lower your commission? That's a skill. I don't get asked to lower my commission. I don't get asked to cut my fees. I don't get told, hey, I got to think about it. I got to talk to other people because I've developed the skills. Influence is a skill. So we'll talk about those today, but specifically lead generation. And as I said, you've experienced through trial and error, some things work, some things don't, some things work way better, but skill beats motivation every time. So let me tell you, most of us are here for some reason. We want to cut expenses, wasteful expenses. We'll talk about that. I'll save you some money here today. For most of you watching this today, you're all spending money on something that isn't working very well. Well, we should probably stop doing it. I too did that. And we also want to increase our income. So let me save you a ton of money. Promoting yourself is not the answer. Now, we do fill our egos up when people say, hey, I saw your ad. This lamb sells condos. People will recognize this guy in Greater Toronto. But that doesn't mean they're going to use him. And there's something else that we need to be aware of. There's no shortage of real estate agents in your marketplace, is there? In Dayton, is there a shortage of real estate agents? In Cincinnati, in Lebanon, in Mason? There's hundreds, there's thousands of real estate agents. So letting the world know that you're in the business isn't enough. Now, you might get lucky. I often say a blind squirrel finds a nut once in a while, but we don't want to build our business based on luck. And if you're willing, well, let me say it this way. If you want better results, If you want change, you must change. So this is really exciting. If everybody is doing this, Brian Moses and his coaching clients are going 180 degrees in a different direction. And I'll give you some examples today. It's not about promoting yourself. You know, in my market here, somebody dropped this off at my door here in New Hampshire, Amber Tomlin. Hey, thanks for the candy cane, Amber. I don't know who you are. I don't know where it came from. We didn't eat it. But even if I loved candy canes and I ate it, I have no moral obligation to use her to sell my home. There's no reason for me to use her. Would you all pick an attorney or a dentist because they gave you a candy cane? Or would you pick them because they're skilled? See, in our industry, the public doesn't think we're skilled because overall they'd be correct. You know, it doesn't take a long time, somewhere between 40 and 100 hours to get your real estate license. And I see this everywhere I go. Take a look at this. Need a real estate agent? You're in luck. Call or text Jeff after you wash your hands. Folks, is this what it's come down to? Just listed, just sold postcards? What's the difference? We're just another real estate agent bragging on ourselves. And frankly, the public doesn't care. Now, I want to let you know that this can work. You might get lucky. Some of you may have done this and said, Brian, I did the just listed campaign and people 5 houses down the street called me. They were thinking about selling their home and they called me. Well, they are one of the minorities who didn't know anybody else. And you got lucky. But we can't build our business based on luck and based on hope. I'm going to give you something far more powerful today. So we need to approach this from the lens of a business. And, you know, if your business is flatlining, meaning you pretty much do the same amount of business year in and year out, you haven't really figured out a consistent way to grow sales or revenue. If you do more prospecting, more cold calling, more door knocking, more touching people, more shaking hands and kissing babies, you over a period of 10 years, you can have some growth. You can, you know, make another $1 million in volume. So that's another $30,000 in income over 10 years. And we see that happening. They work harder and harder and harder, but eventually you'll run out of time. Here's where geometric growth comes from. It comes from skill development. What if we could get people in your marketplace who right now are thinking about selling their home to reach out to you? How many of those would you need a week to change your life? How many of you would benefit from one new seller inquiry that's highly motivated, ready to sell their home in the next 30 days, ready to put their home on the market? If you had one more seller lead a week, that's 50 additional leads, high quality leads. Notice the criteria of a lead: motivated, qualified, ready, willing, and able to sell, or ready, willing, and able to buy. You see, we talk to a lot of people and we've been brainwashed in this industry that you need to be out there talking to people, throwing more shit against the wall. The problem is we're not talking to motivated individuals who want to sell their home. Would you rather talk to 100 people in the hopes to find a seller? That's what door knocking is. That's what cold calling is. That's what chasing your sphere of influence is. Talking to people who aren't selling in the hopes to find the one or two that is. Well, that's really time consuming. What if we could get one to call you? What if we could get 5 to call you? It's like a thermostat. How many do you want? We can turn that thermostat up. And it's inexpensive and it's easy to do, as you'll see today. But you need to understand, you need to develop the awareness that I fortunately developed, is that it has nothing to do with branding and self-promotion. You're not Mercedes-Benz. You're not Ford Motor Company. You're not Anheuser-Busch, Coca-Cola, or Pepsi. We don't have $5 million to run a 30-second spot on a television commercial to promote our brand. We're not Doritos. We're small business. And we need to not promote ourselves because you'll go broke, as I did. 5 years, I was spending money I didn't have. So here's your formula for success. You need to generate quality leads. I'm going to show you how to do that today. It'll be a great orientation, a great introduction. I promise I won't let you down. I'll knock your socks off. Then you need to get an appointment. How many of you would benefit if you had more listing appointments every week? I think most of you would agree with that. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to get all of the listing appointments, although that too is a skill and I can coach you and teach you on how to do that. But I think you'd all agree that if you met with 4 new sellers a month, that's 1 a week, you'd probably convert 1 or 2 of those 4, right? What's a commission worth in your marketplace? You see, gang, I want to teach you, educate you, coach you, that it's not about talking to more people. I want to be with my family. I want to hang out with my buddy Dan at my son's football games. I want to be able to control my work hours. I don't want to work 7 days a week. So we need to be compelling and different. I like to say that marketing, what we're talking about here, lead generation, is like fishing. How do you catch a fish? Well, you can catch a fish with your bare hands. The Indians used to do it. And then they got smart. Some Indians said, let's make a spear. And that's better. That's better than fishing with our bare hands. And then somebody figured out fishing with a tackle box, with lures, with bait. You cast the bait out, the fish swim to it, bites the hook, and you reel it in. What if you had marketing messages where sellers swam out to your marketing message and said, holy shit, that's intriguing. I like that. And they bite it and they call you. That's a bite. That's a hit. That's a lead when they call you. And then you book the appointment and you reel it in. So marketing is like fishing. We wouldn't go fishing without any bait, would we? In fact, if we got in the boat, wouldn't we decide what type of fish we're fishing for before we go fishing? Different fish, different bait. This is a saltwater lure. This is a freshwater lure. This doesn't work in freshwater. This doesn't work very well in the ocean. Now, you might get lucky by doing it wrong, but it's not predictable and going to happen over and over again. So hopefully this analogy is making sense. And what I've learned and become a master at is direct response marketing. And it's allowed me to spend less money, cut my expenses, increase my revenue, and have a great quality of life. Have a business. Most of us got into this business for the same reason. We want to be independent. We want to work when we want. We want to come and go as we please, and we want to provide for our family. But the truth of what really happens, most real estate agents are working 7 days a week, nights, weekends, and holidays, and they're desperate for their next deal. You don't have to be desperate for your next deal. It's all about your bait. Please write this down. Your bait is your message. It's your offer. Now, once we have some messaging, we've got to get that messaging out to our marketplace. There's 3 ways to do that. There's 3 ways to do that. Through media. There's hundreds, thousands of different types of media. I'm going to give you examples today. Some are expensive, some are inexpensive, and some are free. Wouldn't it be advantageous to identify the skills necessary to start with the free media? I have a saying, if it's free, it's for me. So when I coach agents, I show them what are all the free ways they can get good, compelling messaging out into their market so that the fish see the bait, so that the sellers see the message. And then they call you. Then there's inexpensive ways. I'm going to show you a bunch of those today. And then there's some more costly ways, but I would reserve these for much later. Let's generate some commissions on free sources. Then let's reinvest some of that money in some inexpensive media. And then with the money that's coming in, we can reinvest some of that in the expensive categories and grow our business over time. So here's an example of an inexpensive media. Business cards. Do you all have business cards? You know, it's crazy. This is a very popular breakfast place here in New Hampshire. It's called Parker's Maple Barn. You probably have seen these in your market in and around Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky, where you are at an establishment and there's a bulletin board and people can put their business cards on there. Well, unfortunately, in real estate, it doesn't work. Like, I don't know anybody who's gotten a deal from this. And if you are lucky enough to do that, you're a blind squirrel who found a nut. You got lucky. Look there's a real estate agent here. You can tell by his picture. Here's another real estate agent. There's like 5 or 6 of them on here, but there's no differentiating. Here's another one. Here's a agent right over here. There's 3. They're in here, real estate agents, they're loaded. Here's another real estate agent. So here's my point. What if instead of posting our business card, we identified who we wanted to attract? What kind of fish do we want to catch? Do we want buyers? Do we want sellers? What area do we want buyers from? Do we want buyers in Cincinnati? Do we want buyers in Mason? Do we want sellers in Dayton? So we can create business cards with messages. Very inexpensive, 1,000 business cards, $50. And you leave these all over your town. So this is a great strategy. Now, we have dozens and dozens of messages. There is, it's helpful to know which message has the greatest response. Hey, Brian, what would you do if you were in my shoes? Well, it really depends. What are you trying to attract? Are you trying to go with a first-time buyer? Are you trying to get a luxury buyer? Trying to get somebody who's moving down, somebody who's moving up? Trying to get somebody who's selling their house? This is a great message. Sell your Dayton home, just change the town, sell your Dayton home without listing it for sale. No signs, no open houses, quick, easy, and convenient. Call Peter. Now, here's where people get confused. Well, Brian, how does that work? You're getting ahead of yourself. The only purpose of marketing is to get people to call you. So my question for you is, if people in your market saw an offer like this, would it pique their curiosity? Would it get them to go, I wonder how they do that? Maybe I should call them instead of my hairdresser who has a real estate license, or at least in addition to. Now, if it generates the phone call, how many of you think that's good? It's really good. How many of you want to talk to people who are thinking about selling? How many of those do you need a week? You don't need a lot. This one's targeting buyers. Free list of bank foreclosures. Well, Brian, we don't have any bank foreclosures in our market. Yes, you do. They're rare, they're few and far between, but you're getting ahead of yourself. You have access to everything that's listed for sale. When a bank takes a property, it lists with a realtor. You have access to the MLS. Therefore, you have access to bank foreclosures. There's a little bit more coaching and training that goes into the conversion, but I want to show you how when you have irresistible, compelling messages that are different than what everybody else in your market is doing, now you've got a fighting chance. Let me just check the chat here for a second. Cameron, thank you. Cameron's our sponsor. Dan gave you a great introduction, so we appreciate it. Tim says, you're in luck is hilarious. Love the marketing. Thank you. Okay, just your bait is your message. Okay, very, very good. All right, good. I just want to make sure we're not leaving anybody behind here. How about this one? These are coaching clients. These are one-on-one coaching clients from Arizona. Good messaging works everywhere. Buyers and sellers want the same thing. Buyers want a good deal. Buyers want to save money. So what bait do you have? And people go, well, this isn't available in Cincinnati. You'd be surprised. It's available. There's dozens of different special financing programs. And if it's not $36,000, maybe it's $16,000. But if you were buying a home in Arizona and you saw this business card, if you saw this ad on Facebook, would you click the button? My bet is you would. These are great lead magnets. Then the best part is we qualify all these leads because we don't just generate one or two, we generate as many as you want. And then which ones do you want to reach out to? Well, I want to reach out to the ones that hit ASAP or 3 to 6 months. People that are 6 months or longer go into my nurture system. And now I'm working less, I'm talking to fewer people, and I'm cashing my commission checks. How about this one? All this buzz about the rising interest rates and buyers being on the fence. I'm not experiencing that. My clients aren't experiencing that because we're skilled. Imagine if you could get last year's rates today. That would be a good ad, wouldn't it? Well, you can with your mortgage interest rate offset program. Eliminate the risk of rising rates. Offset any increase in interest rate hikes. Search for your new home with confidence without having to worry about interest rates. Rates starting in the 4s. How many calls do you think you'd get? Brian, can we get them rates in the 4s? Yes. We can educate them and show them how to do a buy down program. But we don't talk about buy downs in our marketing. You got to hook them. If you tell them all about the solution, they can take the information and go to a competitor. This is a great one. Are you paying more than X dollars a month in rent? Message me your rental amount and I'll get you 3 homes you can own for the same payment. Does anybody know what $1,500 buys for a mortgage? Are there people in your market renting? You bet there are. Every market in North America has renters. I say get rich on your niche. Renters are a niche. Luxury homes are a niche. Landfall. So change landfall with Dayton, Miami, Lebanon, Mason, Northern Kentucky, Cincinnati, wherever you are targeting buyers, raise your average sales price, right? You don't need a listing. Traditional realtors get a listing, advertise the listing, and then it ends up selling on a co-broke. We advertise the listing, but it's not working. It might generate a couple of leads, and we convert those leads, which is great. But this, you don't even need a listing. You can describe an area, landfall, luxury homes, luxury properties, upgrades galore, a good compelling ad. There are people looking in landfall. There are people looking in Dayton, people looking in Miami, people looking in Cincinnati. If I knew where your luxury neighborhoods were, I'd be able to help you that fast. Get $1 million buyer to call you tomorrow. What do you make on $1 million sale? Well, Brian, that's if they buy. What if I got $5 million buyers to call you tomorrow? You think you might get one? 3%, 2.5% of $1 million is $25,000. You don't need a lot of leads. Don't buy leads. Zillow, Realtor.com, these third-party sites, they take advantage of your desire for leads and they generate leads that don't convert. They don't have qualifiers in their messaging. You see, there's a lot more skill that is in this marketing than I'm able to share with you today. But notice, nobody's going to call who's under 500,000. And homes in landfall, range between $500,000 and $4 million. So if somebody's looking in landfall, this will be a really great lead. Here's another example of a business card as a media. Sell your home without listing it for sale. No signs, no open houses. This is a jackpot ad. The only thing I would add is sell your Cincinnati home. So I would put the target area in there. It'll have more appeal to your target audience. These are coaching clients. So this client is in Arizona. This client is in Illinois. This client is in Canada. It works everywhere. It works everywhere. It gets the phone to ring, and the only people that call are people who are thinking about selling their home, and they go, hey, can you tell me more about this? And we say, sure. And I coach you on what to say to get the appointment. And then step 3 is I coach you on what to say to acquire the client. You see, they end up listing the house with Nick. Oh, interesting. I didn't realize this. This is Nick Taylor. This is Nick Honor. We got both Nicks here. But interesting. Here's a client, Brad Gill in California. This is direct mail. This is a postcard. This is me and him showing me the results, bragging about the results he had from this call. I'm like, yeah, Brad, way to go. Here's a landing page, which allows you to have more free time. And we can set up landing pages very inexpensively, very easily, that reinforce the great compelling message. Sell your tri-state home without listing it for sale. No signs, no showings, no open house. Pretty cool. The Lacey Group has over 50 cash or pre-approved buyers who haven't found a home. Notice Jim Lacey isn't talking about how great he is. He isn't using catchy, cutesy little slogans. Why? Because messaging benefits, curiosity works way better than that other crap. I think this is Dan Young, actually. So Dan sent me this, the Sell Without Listing campaign. He ran an ad on Facebook. And in the period of time that I'm looking here, he generated 14 leads, sellers who wanted to know about Sell Without Listing at a cost of $4.70. How many of you would spend $65 for 14 seller chances? How many of you think you'd get a listing 2 or 3 or 4 out of those 14? I want to also tell you, I teach agents how to go after the low-hanging fruit. I am not interested in talking to people who are selling their home next year. I can generate those leads. And if you have a team or desire to grow a team, or once you've crushed this campaign, we can add other campaigns because you're going to be in business a year from now, and we can put them into your CRM. But right now, let's just build the business easy peasy. Let's not chase leads that are 6 months, a year away, because that produces income that's 6 months or a year away. Thinking of selling your Lighthouse Point home, thinking of selling your Coral Ridge home. There are people in your market who are thinking about selling their home. And there are buyers looking to buy in those desirable areas. Now, Ryan Critch, one of my best coaching clients, he has no team, 0 licensed agents. He made $1 million in commission income in the 4th quarter of last year. Incredible. $1 million in commissions. He plays golf 3 or 4 times a week. He's an order taker. He's not a salesperson. People call. He responds to the call. They can't call somebody else. They're calling you on your ad. Here's another team that I coach. They're using sign writers. Home sold to the highest bidder. Hey, how does that work? Now you've got buyers calling you on your listings. We've got flyers. We have messaging on the back of the flyers. Special financing available. It's not, I love my realtor. Another example, of the homes sold to the highest bidder. You want to do an open house and stack it with quality leads instead of just doing a traditional open house. How can you be unique? How can you be more compelling? How can you differentiate yourself? So gang, I want to have some time for Q&A here. We've got some comments in the chat. You know, as Dan shared, I'm very, very proud of being nominated and selected, not just nominated, but selected as one of the 125 most influential people in the real estate industry. There's an old saying, you become a product of your environment. You can probably surmise that my kid plays football at Vanderbilt. He probably hangs around with some smart kids. He probably has hung around with some good athletes. He's probably had some coaching. The proof in what I'm showing you, a lot of people tell you how great they are and how they're going to change your world, but the proof is in the results. I get text messages every day, multiple times a day from clients like this. Ryan Critch, the guy who made $1 million in a quarter with no team. You're a marketing genius, Brian. I set up one of the ads yesterday, one call, one listing appointment. How hard do you work to get one listing appointment is my question. This would be a lot easier. Here's another client in Arizona, $20 spend over 4 days, 11 leads. It reached 700 people. I don't really care about that. I care about this, $1.79 for leads. And look at who responded. Buyers who are looking in Prescott, Arizona, where they want to sell beautiful homes in the Pines or golf course communities. You can probably imagine that targeting those golf course communities are a higher than average sales price. So for $1.79, they're getting $1 million buyer inquiries. Pretty awesome. Oops. Here's another one. 34 leads at the cost of $5 a piece. So about 100, and I think the total ad spend is here somewhere. 170, 50, 60 bucks for 34 Facebook leads. Pretty cool. Here's another text from a direct response mailer that we use. I just booked another $485,000. It's a listing appointment off the 33 twist letter. I said, I love these texts. Yep. Watch this, gang. One campaign, one strategy in 90 days, $2.2 million in listed volume. So multiply that by 4. Imagine one strategy that does $8 million in volume for you a year at an average of 485. So that's roughly 16 sales off one campaign. Pretty wild. Here's a screenshot my coaching client Kevin sent me from a seller, Jim Kuchar, who said, we received your letter last week regarding property listings in Warwick Neck. We're at 240 Narragansett Bay and may be interested in selling. Are you guys getting leads like this on a weekly basis? Josh Naughton, a Remax agent, just picked up another $1.3 million listing in Acton. Margaret Harrington in Long Island, New York. Wholly explicitive. 3 calls from one development, all over $1 million. Already have 2 appointments. 3 houses over $1 million. I go, how many letters did you send? 20. So $10 in postage, $3 million in volume. Now, gang, I'm not saying you're going to get the exact same results, but even if you got 1/10 of the results, it would change your life. I told you at the beginning of this webinar, there's 2 worlds. There's the reported world, go throw more crap against the wall and see what sticks. Hey, the market's down, sales are down. I say bullshit. Go into your MLS and look at how many homes sold in Cincinnati last month. Hundreds. You need 3, 4, 5, 10. There's plenty of business out there. What you focus on expands. You don't need to listen to the naysayers telling you all the reasons why you can't do it. You can live in the created world. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. What have you got to lose by trying something new, something different? You know, the best in the world, people who want to grow, realize that the fastest shortcut is coaching. And I would love the opportunity to apply to be your coach. What's one deal, one transaction in your market worth? Write it down on a piece of paper. $400,000 house at 3%, that's 12 grand. What if you did one a month? So Dan's asked me to put together an offer to help you folks. I appreciate the opportunity. It's limited to participants on today's webinar only, and that's to have me be your coach. Question is, would you like my help? Well, Brian, what's it cost? That's always the wrong question, gang. The question is, what's it worth? What's it worth to have Brian Moses, 25 years in the business, one of the most successful real estate agents for major corporations, over 400 homes sold a year. I can generate leads like, shooting fish in a barrel. What's it worth? I coach many of North America's most successful agents. This weekend, tomorrow, I'm speaking at RE/MAX convention in Las Vegas and the HomeSmart convention in Las Vegas. It's a great opportunity. I enjoy the impact that I have on agents. One-on-one coaching, people invest $2,000 to $5,000 a month to have me coach them to grow their business. What if it didn't cost you that much? What if we could put something together where I could rub off on you in a really positive way? Well, that's what we've done. We've put together a group coaching program that I'd like to invite you to join. It's my Inner Circle program. We'll give you access to the most comprehensive resource library in the industry. Ad examples, scripts and dialogues, qualifying questions so that you can book the appointment. You do it right. You don't screw up the good leads that you generated. Listing presentations and buyer presentations, video examples, video training, transcriptions, so that you can simply do what I do on an appointment, on a phone call. It's a very easy to follow system. We've got dozens and dozens of sample ads. We do 2 live calls every month. So you'll be able to get your questions answered. We do a topic call every month and a marketing review call every month. You're able to submit your marketing and have me, yours truly, critique it. You have access to our private members only Facebook group where you can ask questions of other great agents from around the country. And you have access to me and my staff to get your questions answered. What would you be willing to invest for that? All available online from the privacy of your own home. You don't have to buy airfare, travel, hotels. You'll save a fortune there. And you get on 2 live calls a month with me, and we give you the kitchen sink. We sell this program online. You can go to brianmosesinnercircle.com. It's $500 a month, $6,000. It's a great deal. We've got hundreds of members from all over North America. They're killing it. They're crushing it. And many of them graduate and go on to become a one-on-one client. But we're not going to charge you that. We're going to cut the fee in half today. $497, we'll cut it in half. And for $247 with no setup fee, you can join our community right now. So Dan, if you'd put that in the chat, I'd appreciate it. And have everybody open up their browser so that they can take advantage of this offer.
Well, it's
Okay,
in there,
Dan's
Brian.
put it in there. Yeah, I see that. I appreciate it. Dan, I appreciate it. Dan's talking about one of the ads that I showed resulted in 2 listings, both over 300,000. So open up that browser. And we'll also give you $14,000 in bonuses. These are products and promos that I've sold year over year. A year of coaching is $6,000. Well, we're going to give you all of the recordings for the last 4 years, 2019, 2020, 2021, and 2022. And they're all labeled by topic. So ultimately, gang, you have a training manual. You have a playbook. My son at Vanderbilt has a playbook. The coach coaches him on what to do, so that if his number's called in a game, he can be prepared and ready. It's literally as easy as 1, 2, 3. I'm going to coach you on what to do first. And when you are a child and you connect the dots, 1, 2, 3, and you go in the right order and you finish at number 150, it looks like Batman. But if you go out of order, if you stray, it's not going to work. So some of you, I'm sure, have copied, screenshotted the images, and God bless you. You'll get the call, but then what? You'll screw up the call. Don't do that. Don't cheap out. It's $247 a month. I won't let you down. There's no contracts. You can cancel at any time. If you decide to cancel, you can keep all the downloads, all the information that you've downloaded. Try me out for a month. $247, it'll change your life. As I said, what's one deal worth for you? If you stay for the whole year, it's $3,000. How many houses can I help you sell for your $3,000 investment? The right message plus if right media gives you highly motivated, highly qualified leads. So take advantage of this opportunity today. And here's a recap of everything that you get. And I don't know, Dan, if you have anything that you'd like to add or
Brian,
say, or if we have any questions.
I recently heard that learning without implementation is just entertainment. And what I love about your system is it's implementation, right? Why is it that so many people don't act on these things? They're confused. They don't know what to do next. And what I love about your system is you just connect the dots. And I'm proof of concept. Brian, I didn't share this with you, but when I was inviting folks to this webinar, I had someone respond and said, no seasoned agent is ever going to believe that you can make 6 figures working less than 5 hours a week. And he said, this is just crap, take it down. And I just, at first I was like, I had to laugh. I'm like, because he just doesn't know the skill set. He doesn't have the mindset to do it. I had to learn it out of necessity, and via your coaching was able to do it. And it's just so funny. Yes, it is possible. You can scale it up, you can scale it down. Maybe someone just wants to sell a few homes a year. Maybe they're doing 1,000 homes a year, but they want to do it in half the time. So I just think it's funny, those limiting beliefs that we have, and your system is really great at getting over those limiting beliefs. So I really appreciate you.
I put my email in the chat if anybody has any questions. I also have a website where if you don't take advantage of this order, you can buy it and pay $500 a month. And that's still a great deal. So if, the timing's not great today, maybe we'll see you in 3 months, 6 months, and it's still a good investment. You'll make tons of money on it, but there is no contracts. There is no long-term commitment, no questions asked. I don't want your money. I want your success. And you only know what you know. Let me expose you to a whole nother universe. The reported world. That real estate agents prospect, they hunt, they chase, they work nights, they work weekends. Let me show you a different world. I'd love to be your coach. I thank you, Dan, for having me here today. I've got to jump from my next webinar, my next call, but I appreciate you all having me here today, and I look forward to seeing you on our next Inner Circle call.
Ryan, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for attending. And of course, thank you for Cameron, for America's Preferred Home Warranty, and appreciate everybody today.
Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
See ya.